Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have to admit, watching the recent developments between the Spencer and Forrester families has completely reignited my passion for this show. As someone who has been tuning in for decades, I always get a massive thrill when we pivot back to ruthless corporate espionage. It feels like a comforting return to the golden days of soap operas, where stolen designs and boardroom betrayals were the ultimate weapons. Right now, I am feeling a profound mix of excitement and anxiety as I watch the groundwork being laid for what promises to be an explosive fashion war. The stakes are incredibly high, and I cannot help but wonder who will ultimately be left standing when the dust settles on this latest corporate battlefield. My heart really goes out to the complex situation surrounding young Dylan, even if I strongly disagree with her methods. I look at her and see a young woman who is practically vibrating with desperation, completely consumed by her need to win the approval of the Spencer family. It is absolutely fascinating, yet entirely tragic, to watch her try to navigate the impossible standards set by Katie Spencer. I honestly believe that Katie is acting out of a fierce, protective, motherly instinct over Will Spencer Jr., but her icy disapproval is pushing Dylan into a very dangerous corner. When you make someone feel like they are never going to be good enough, you inadvertently create a monster who will do absolutely anything to prove their worth, and that terrifies me. What really makes my stomach tie in knots is the dark, vengeful path Dylan is choosing to walk down. Instead of trying to win Katie over with genuine kindness or patience, she is weaponizing her position to orchestrate a massive betrayal. Her intense desire to take down Electra Forrester in the process reveals a deep-seated jealousy that I find quite unsettling to witness. I often sit on my couch and ask myself, why do these young characters always believe that destroying someone else is the key to building their own happiness? Dylan is blinding herself to the moral consequences of her actions, firmly convinced that handing the Spencers a competitive advantage will magically transform her into a beloved member of their inner circle. Meanwhile, over at Forrester Creations, the sheer amount of pressure resting on the shoulders of RJ and Zende Forrester is making me incredibly nervous for their future. I have watched these two young men grow up, and seeing them desperately collaborate on a brand new youth fashion line feels like a massive turning point for the legacy of their family. RJ genuinely believes that this fresh collection is the ultimate salvation for the company, which is a staggering burden for someone his age to carry. I feel a strong sense of pride watching their creative passion, but my protective instincts are screaming that they are entirely too naive about the sharks circling their waters. Will their artistic brilliance be enough to protect them from the ruthless business tactics of their rivals? The decision to make Electra the face of this crucial new youth collection is a brilliant creative move, but I firmly believe it is the exact catalyst that will ignite Dylan's explosive revenge. When I saw that Electra was going to be the centerpiece of this campaign, I immediately felt a cold dread wash over me, knowing exactly how Dylan would react to that news. It is one thing to compete for a young man's affection, but watching your rival become the literal poster child for the most important fashion line of the decade must be absolutely maddening for Dylan. I can practically feel the bitter resentment radiating through the screen, and I am genuinely worried about the emotional toll this will take on Electra when she realizes she is walking around with a massive target on her back. I cannot help but shake my head in absolute disbelief at how carelessly sensitive corporate information is handled in this fictional universe. When Dylan's boss accidentally let the details of this top-secret collection slip in front of her assistant, I actually groaned out loud in my living room. It frustrates me to no end when brilliant business moguls make such amateur mistakes, practically handing their enemies the keys to the kingdom. RJ and Electra are running this poor assistant ragged with endless errands for the new designs, completely oblivious to the fact that they are essentially feeding classified intelligence straight to a spy. Do these people never learn to lock their doors and lower their voices when discussing multi-million-dollar projects? The moment Dylan connects the dots and realizes the goldmine of information she possesses, you can see the dangerous gears turning in her head. I am completely captivated by her internal struggle, though I am deeply disappointed that she is choosing the path of corporate theft. She is planning to take this leaked information straight to the House of Logan, hoping to hand the Spencer family the ultimate weapon against the Forresters. I have to ask you all, do you really think a stolen fashion line is the key to Katie's heart? In my experience watching these families, stolen victories always come with a devastating price tag, and I strongly predict that this secret will blow up in Dylan's face in ways she cannot even begin to comprehend. Let us take a moment to really analyze Katie Spencer's position in all of this, because she is usually the moral compass that grounds the family. I am incredibly curious to see how she will react when Dylan presents her with this stolen intellectual property. Will Katie's fierce desire to see the Spencer family triumph over the Forresters override her usually strict ethical boundaries? I honestly fear that her deep-rooted disdain for Electra and the Forrester arrogance might just tempt her to accept this dirty advantage. If Katie compromises her integrity just to launch a youth line before RJ and Zende, it will fundamentally change how I view her character, and that thought leaves me feeling surprisingly saddened. Just try to imagine the absolute earth-shattering fury that will erupt at Forrester Creations if the Spencers manage to beat them to the punch with this youth line. I am already bracing myself for the epic boardroom screaming matches, because the Forresters pride themselves on their originality and industry dominance. If they discover that their highly anticipated collection was essentially hijacked because of a leak from within, the betrayal will tear the families apart all over again. I am genuinely excited for the dramatic confrontations, but I also feel a deep pang of sympathy for RJ, whose dreams are about to be crushed under the weight of this ruthless corporate sabotage. There is a massive, glaring irony in this entire situation that I simply cannot ignore, and it drives me absolutely crazy as a logical viewer. The Forrester family went out of their way to strictly ban Electra from seeing Will, acting as though they are protecting their inner circle from the dangerous Spencer influence. Yet, somehow, they are completely blind to the fact that Dylan, who works closely with the Logan and Spencer factions, is walking their halls and gathering their most guarded secrets. It is a staggering display of hypocrisy and poor judgment. I sit here wondering how these incredibly successful business people can be so vigilant about teenage romances, yet so utterly oblivious to a corporate spy operating right under their noses. My deepest worry in this entire messy saga is reserved for young Will Spencer Jr., who is entirely caught in the crossfire of this toxic war. I feel a profound sadness for him, as he is just trying to navigate his own life, completely unaware that his mother and his peers are using his relationships as bargaining chips. If Dylan's treacherous plan is exposed, Will is going to be devastated to learn that someone he trusted was secretly manipulating his family's business to destroy the people he cares about. I strongly predict that this corporate espionage will not bring Dylan closer to Will. Instead, it will absolutely shatter whatever fragile bond they currently share, leaving him feeling more isolated than ever. As we brace ourselves for the inevitable fallout, I am left with a heavy sense of anticipation and a lingering sadness for the innocence that is about to be lost. Dylan's desperate thirst for revenge against Electra is a tragic reminder that holding on to hatred only ends up poisoning your own soul. I firmly believe that the Spencer family might win this temporary battle of the fashion lines, but the collateral damage to their personal relationships will be catastrophic. I cannot wait to see how this all unfolds, and I know we will be sitting here together, analyzing every tear and every betrayal as this incredible story reaches its boiling point.